Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Sunday, May 31st, 2020. Sorry about the discrepancy earlier. A memo that I had gotten about a week or two ago was stating church would be on June 1st, so I didn't even think about the date, so excuse me. So church wasn't on the 1st, it was May 31st. But anywho, thanks for joining me. Thanks for the feedback I've gotten pertaining to George Floyd. Thank you, my loyal subscribers and fans. I want to bring you said information pertaining to Donald Trump and his wagging mouth pertaining to this said scenario that has jumped off, affecting many people in America right now with the uproar and riots and protests. And this said information is pertaining to Nashville, and I will tie in some new information pertaining to Nashville, Tennessee. If you need verification for the storyline, please log on to the Tennessean. Okay. Donald Trump wants to declare Antifa a terrorist group. Here's what we know about their Tennessee activities. President Donald Trump has announced he intends to designate a militant anti-racist movement a terrorist organization as violent protests attended by a variety of activists have erupted in cities around the country, including Nashville. The protests, some of which have resulted in destruction of property and violent clashes with police, are being held in response to police killing George Floyd in Minneapolis and other black individuals who have recently died at the hands of law enforcement. The United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization, Trump said during remarks at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida on Saturday, though it's unclear by what legal mechanism he can designate a domestic organization to be a terrorist group. Antifa, short for anti-fascist, is a left-wing activist movement active globally, including in Tennessee. The loosely affiliated groups frequently advocate for anti-racist policies, though often take an anarchist and militant approach. There is no formal leadership or unified national structure to the movement. It is not one organization, but rather a loose network of activists using a black bloc tactic at protests, dressing in all black and concealing their faces with masks and bandanas. Multiple Antifa groups have been based in Nashville in recent years. Nashville protesters, police clash after rally over George Floyd. No clear evidence Antifa organized violent protests in Nashville. While many of the protesters in Nashville on Saturday fit that description, it's unclear if any affiliate with Antifa organizations. Metro Nashville Police Department Chief Steve Anderson said Sunday the city is investigating a small group of people they believe used the protest as a cover for violence and other criminal acts. The police chief did not say if any organized groups might be behind the violence in Nashville. A peaceful rally held downtown Saturday afternoon evolved throughout the evening, eventually turning from a march into a chaotic eruption of vandalism to public and private property. Metro Nashville's historic courthouse and city hall were set afire in the process, among other significant damage the building sustained. Antifa groups have, however, openly mobilized overwhelmingly nonviolent counter-protests at events like October 2017 White Lives Matter rally in Shelbyville and Murfreesboro, as well as made appearances at the annual American Renaissance Conference held at Tennessee's Montgomery Bell State Park. And for those who do not know, Shelbyville and Murfreesboro are in Middle Tennessee, outside of Nashville, Tennessee. The conference, which was canceled this year due to the coronavirus and therefore did not prompt a protest, is held by a white nationalist organization. The protest groups are typically met with a large number of park rangers and forced to demonstrate behind barriers, limiting the possibility for physical confrontations with the conference goers. With some small altercations have taken place between protesters and counter-protesters at those events, there is no evidence that Antifa activists have been responsible for inciting any type of significant violence in Tennessee. They frequently inhabit a very insular online space, trading jabs with individuals they believe to espouse white supremacist beliefs. As with other Antifa activists around the nation, Jam City Antifa, a Nashville-based network, has been known to track area white supremacists and post photos and other identifying information about them online, sometimes encouraging followers to show up to help with them at events. White supremacists have in turn done the same for Antifa activists in the area. Last year, U.S. Representative Tim Burchett, Republican of Knoxville, filed the Unmasking Antifa Act, legislation that sought to punish up to 15 years a person wearing a mask or disguise while committing a crime including threatening or intimidating another individual exercising their constitutional rights or privileges, according to a statement from Burchett's office at the time. At times, we get tough on this issue. These cowards wouldn't act the way they do if the whole world could see their faces, Burchett said at the time, which was pre-coronavirus pandemic. Trump's administration quick to cast blame on Antifa amid protests. U.S. Attorney General William Barr on Sunday also blamed Antifa and other similar groups over the violent protests around the country. Barr did not say what specific groups may have been involved or where they came from, but he said the Justice Department and the FBI will work on identifying criminal organizers and investigators to be arrested and charged. Trump's national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, told CNN Sunday that the administration planned to get to the bottom of Antifa's role in the protests, and he said the president and Barr want to know what the FBI is doing to track and dismantle and surveil and prosecute Antifa. O'Brien denounced these Antifa militant radicals who come into our cities and cross state lines. They're organizing, use Molotov cocktails and fireworks and gas to burn down our cities, especially business and minority neighborhoods. It's got to be stopped, he said on State of the Union. But some have blamed white-ring provocateurs seeking to incite a race war for the violence. The truth is, nobody really knows, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison said Sunday on NBC News, Meet the Press. What the exact political motivation is, it's unclear at this point. We need to investigate it, Ellison said. And this said information is brought to you by the Tennessean. Let me say this. Donald Trump needs to shut the hell up because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has decided to join on the bandwagon of many racist white folks of trying to label a group that's behind the vandalism and protest going on in this country. This is about George Floyd. Don't try to use some group as an excuse. You're using this group as an excuse. You don't know who the hell these people are around the United States that are rallying, protesting, vandalizing, burning things down. You have no idea. And because someone wears a mask, well, hell, it's Corona time. Go figure. And Tim Burchett of Knoxville, Republican. You need to shut the hell up. I don't like you anyway. You have a nasty attitude and a nasty disposition. I've heard you speak on a certain issue. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't like your attitude. You were very smart and quick, rude. See, this is what I'm coming to learn about the good old boy. The good old boy states, southern states. Still, racism is here. Modern day, modern world, iPhone, smart TV, but that don't mean a damn thing. The South is still racist, okay? Just like places up north, out west, it's all the same. East Coast, all the same. It's okay when white people rally for these national supremacist groups, white supremacist groups. You let them rally, you let them come to the city, get a permit to protest and speak their venom about being white and superior, and you think that's okay. But now here comes the president, Mr. Tim Burchett, and other Republicans. Now you want to say, well, if you're wearing a mask, you're a part of this group Antifa, and we want to prosecute you. You need to go down, blah, blah, blah. So what you're saying is, so long as you show your face and spew venom of a non-white person's group, it's okay. But you wear a mask and you're speaking the truth about racism, then you're a terrorist. Oh, and if you just so happen to throw a cocktail and burn down a couple of buildings, which you don't have no proof of. And Nashville police chief, you don't have any proof of anything either. And that's what Donald Trump is feeding off of. The peaceful gathering you had yesterday that turned into chaos later on, and that is the point. You don't know who is whom. You don't know who's doing what, who's vandalizing what neighborhoods, urban neighborhoods, downtown, the courthouse. You can't say that it was this Antifa group. You can't say it was a bunch of thugs over on 15th Street. You can't say it was university students from Vanderbilt. You can't say a damn thing because you don't know. Just like the rest of the riots and protesting going on in America, you people have no clue who is peacefully protesting, who is exacting crime as far as graffiti, vandalism, fires, throwing rocks, cocktails, on and on. This is Trump's way to mask the death of a black man and to make an excuse to now want to bring up some random group as a terrorist group, which he has no proof of, nor does the chief of police in Nashville, nor does Tim Burchett either. What I think is sickening is that instead of you saying how terrible this event is, how terrible the violence against black Americans are in this country by the police and civilians, you instead take a shot at a group and use them as an excuse that they're causing all the riots in America right now. How interesting. So now all of a sudden, this quiet entity is now vandalizing the city and burning down buildings and cars and police cars and burning down the fire stations and the police stations and the government buildings and the CNN building. It's the Antifa group, is it now? Or could it be just some mad-ass black folks and white folks sick of the bullshit that's been going on in this country for over 400 years? How about that? How about it's just some tired-ass folks, tired black folks, white, Hispanic, non-white, whichsoever, looting, throwing cocktails, setting garbage cans on fire, buildings on fire. Could it just be that? Could it just be some people decided to give America her payback? As I state, I don't condone unwarranted violence, looting, but who am I to judge? Who am I to say anything? I ain't nobody, am I? I'm just some old 49-year-old black woman trying to survive in East Tennessee. What does my opinion matter? Donald Trump, you are a shameful human being. You are always taking advantage of a situation. And the fact that you want to use some group as an excuse that they are enacting violence in this country because of George Floyd, and they're using his death as an excuse, that is low rent and petty. Because we will never know who's out here throwing a cocktail, putting graffiti on a building. Could be a 16-year-old. You don't know. And frankly, you don't give a damn. Like so many other counterparts. You don't care. None of you care. And the Attorney General Barr, you don't give a damn either. And you can't even give said information about a terrorist group because you don't have any information. You're feeding off the bullshit coming out of Nashville, Tennessee about this Antifa group. So this group has spoken publicly about racism. So what? That doesn't make them a terrorist group. And until you bring proof, you should keep your mouth closed. And you continuously run your mouth on social media and the news and press conferences, State of the Union, this and that, speaking on things you don't know anything about, always blaming the news, always blaming CNN, this news group, this news station, this news syndicate. Why don't you take responsibility for your own mind, your own way of thinking, your own ratchet behavior, your own ratchet tongue? For once in your pathetic 70 years on earth, stand up and be a man and say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I didn't have no business being in this office, and these sap-ass folks voted for me, misled it, misguided. That's how you got there. And I think it's a sin and it's shameful for people to rally, spewing nonsense and venom and hate of superiority of being white, and get licenses to go from city to city ranting and raving. Ku Klux Klan, same thing over the years, ranting and raving, spewing hate, mask on, gloves on, mask off, no hoodies, hoodies on, hoodies off. But then some people wear some masks protesting the death of George Floyd, and now they are considered they are considered, well, a terrorist group, terrorist organization. Don't you find that ironic? That finally when someone decides to stand up for the injustices of African American people, they are now deemed terrorists. But it's okay for the white man and women and children to gather in southern cities and other cities in this country and spew hate and rally to show that the white man, the white woman is more superior and that white lives matter. It's shameful, it's sinful, and it's disrespectful, and it's It's despicable. This is the world we live in. And even when Trump was running for office, those white people, some of them, let me say, not all, were very angry, vicious, venomous humans, pushing the rally, people who were rallying and protesters, pushing and shoving some African Americans. Everyone knows about that famous video, old man pushing a young boy and girl. And you all thought that was okay. And what was Trump saying? Get him out of here. Yeah, yeah, get him out of here. He was down for the shit. He was down for it all. And you didn't hear him say anything about Republican Republican supporters being shot at by protesters, non-Republican. But now all of a sudden, you're advocating random gun toters to shoot at protesters. And it's sad that the police still have the mindset of the other night. Ramming your cars into the crowd in New York City, spraying gas tears in Minnesota last night. The people are nowhere near, and you're still throwing gas. They're not even around. They weren't looting, they weren't doing anything, but you were deliberately throwing gas. And the press was backing up, filming it all, and you still was throwing gas at people. One young African-American boy was in the street, young man, beefing him up. And I prayed that nothing happened to him. Drawing your guns on reporters the other night. That was sweet. Now, the cameraman was there filming all of this, and you didn't give a damn. Why were you drawing your guns on the reporters? You saw that girl standing there with a microphone, a white woman at that, and you didn't give a damn. What were you going to do? Shoot her? That was your way of threatening her? Get back, get back? See, some of you all are with this. You enjoy all of this. So when Trump sits up here and tries to act like it's okay to feed off of George Floyd's death with this Antifa terrorist group, the police, some of them, they're riding the ride as well to enact violence alongside Mr. Chauvin, who killed George Floyd. I think all of them like it. I really do. I think a lot of these police officers, as I state, are miserable. They're combative. They're mental. They don't give a damn. And they don't care about knocking off some black people, passing a $20 fake bill, gathering in front of a store, busting in their house for a drug raid, nor protesting for equality for African American people. This is the world that we are in. And it is sick and it is shameful. Slavery was abolished so many years ago. And yet here it is, hundreds of years later. From the moment we were brought here on ships, our ancestors, this is what we have resorted to. Still being treated like trash. You see, free ain't really free. State of mind, but really not free. We're on borrowed time as it is. And being an African American, you are just throwing the dice every day you get up and wake up, walk outside your door. You have to lean on faith and prayer that you will not be a victim of violence against your own race, and also violence of the white race, and violence from the police. Now that's a hell of a gamble. 3 times fold. Imagine that. 3 times fold. The black man and woman has to be leery walking outside of his or her own home. To be gunned down by his own race, to be misidentified and put in some bull by the white race, and to also be gunned down, chokehold, suffocated by the police. That's our America. And how great this America is. It's a lie. It's a joke. It is fake. It is fraudulent. I'm praying that God wakes some of you sick people up out there and realize that you are human and you are of the flesh and you are no better than anybody else. And when you leave here, you go in the dust, honey. And ain't nobody gonna care about your white supremacy ways and thinking, your rebel flag, your hoodie hanging in your closet. You know, the white one with the eyes cut out. Yeah, nobody's gonna care about that. Frankly, you've just been an utter fool while you're living on this earth. Prayers for the Floyd family. Justice for George Floyd. Justice for Ahmaud Arbery. Justice for Breonna Taylor. And so many more gunned down African Americans by law enforcement and civilians. This is a terrible day. I will bring you more updates pertaining to George Floyd and other things going on. Right now, people are still rallying, protesting. But I'm telling you, I don't know how this world is going to end up. One thing I can say, God doesn't have to come and take us nowhere. We're doing a good job of knocking each other off on our own. And it's sad and it's shameful. But I will not live in fear by my own race, by man, by police. I'm a child of God, and I am to fear nothing with 2 feet. And that is for Mr. Trump, the Attorney General, local police, the feds, CIA, you, the marshals, whomsoever. You are a human with 2 feet. And that's all you are. Nothing more and nothing less. Stay safe, America. Thanks for joining me and thanks for listening. Come November, you want to be counted, African Americans, 18 years and over, vote. If you are a convicted felon, fight for your rights to get your voting rights reinstated. Stand account, be valued, show that you want to live and you are worthy of living. Let the people know that you have a voice. So when November comes, they will know you were in the room. All African Americans that are able to vote, please vote in November so we can change the laws and get that clown out of the White House and maybe get this country to a better state of being. Amen. Amen. I'm out of here. Everyday shenanigans. Bye-bye.